All right, Adam. Question that comes up all the time. Different types of project delivery methods, and the big buzzword more and more every day is, design build, Institute of America, design build versus CMAR. How do you feel about DB and how's it going?
So, design and build, I have to say, pretty much in all the jurisdictions I travel to, is very popular. Let's put it that way. So let's talk about the theory of design and build. So the theory of design and build is, if I'm the owner, I just want a turnkey solution, and I push that design risk and construction risk into a team, and they deliver me a building based on my requirements document, right? So the conceit is, if I'm the owner, I've bundled my risk into a box, I've put it in a box, and they're going to give me back what I asked for, right? So,
Do you ever where so okay, so my next question is where do you see the gaps?
right. So this is the thing. What comes back out of that box, that risk box that you put it in, is wholly dependent on how well you ask for it, right? So I'll talk in UK terminology, but it's probably similar in America. So in the UK, if you want to do a design and build job, the employer or developer does what's called the employer's requirements document, the OPR. And then they might do a design, take it up to schematic plus, right? Or REBA stage 2 or 3, right? And then it goes into a design and build team, and then it gets done. But if you are the developer or the owner, right, you have to get into that the design brief and documents that you send out, everything you want. If you ask for anything after you award that D and build job, it's a money game, right? So you better be clear on what you want and what you're after, and it better be
How,
performance based.
how do you do it? Okay, so just curious, like in this environment,
Uh,
I mean, do you think that design build has prospered or basically just plundered, with this whole supply chain thing?
I think design and build is a chimera. Everyone is having a hallucinogenic episode because everyone's lying to themselves. So the owner's saying, "Oh, I've bundled my risk and sent it out," but they haven't. The owner always owns the risk. Whatever comes back at them comes back at them, right? And this is the other dirty secret of design and build. So you give it to let's say, pick an American, Turner Construction. You say, Turner Construction, do me a design and build thing. Not picking on Turner Construction, don't sue me. But so are Turner Construction a construction firm? No, they are not. They don't employ architects, engineers, plumbers, bricklayers, door hangers. They are a management contractor.
Yeah.
And then they hire a design team the same way they buy bricks. They go out for an RFP, they take the cheapest price, boom. So it's not a vertically integrated solution. It's still a horizontal solution. And everyone is managed by a management contractor called Turner, who manage them on a contract performance. So Turner's job is to performance manage all the multiple contracts in their design and build contract, right? So it's just layers of paper and management, right? So the idea is, if I'm the owner, I put it out to a vertically integrated solution called design and build, and I get back what I want, right? So the onus is on the owner to ask for it properly. And then the design and build contractor takes the employer's requirements and the employer spec and builds it, right? So it is on them to design and build to a performance spec mostly. That better be written right? So here's the thing. The owner can't interfere with the design and build person unless they pay. I changed my mind, pay me. I want this, pay me, right? But also the owner can't be involved in selecting who the design and build contractor employs, who they subcontract to, what materials they buy. The only form of reference is the employer's spec and documents, right? So the design and build contractors, once they get that job, they are supposed to say, "Thank you very much for that, Mr. Developer. I'll see you in 2 years' time, and I'll give you your building. Now go away." Right?
So like for me, with commissioning of design
Yeah.
build projects, like the team has got to be very good. The communication has got to be very good. And truthfully, Newforma, Procore, Bluebeam, all the buzzwords, right? Where it's just like, I always Bluebeam sessions, this. There's so many different types of the communication. When the submittal comes out, I mean, you got to get pinged. I got to know what's going on. I tell them all the time, I go, do not send me 7,000 submittals. Only give me the submittals that I need to review. That doesn't happen. I get a million of them, right? So then I'm like, okay, so give me a 2 or 3 week period, and then we go back and forth. So then I think when it's right, it's right. When it's not right, it's just like there's this black box. You don't know what's going on. It's moving over here. It's moving over here. And it can get goofy. And the last couple of years, I saw just enormous different type of like different prices and this and that and how I can get this, when I can get that, when it's going to get, when, you know, see what I mean? It was just like the timing.
Right.
It's just so fast.
So I see two roles for the commissioning provider in the design and build model, right? So if I am the design and build contractor, I am only obliged to give you minimum viable product based on the spec you give me. I am not giving you a millimeter more than what I'm supposed to, right? Because that's how I make money. From the owner's point of view, they need to know that there's compliance along the job. They don't want to wait till the end, so they normally have some provision to inspect, right? So I think there's two roles for a commissioning provider. There's a commissioning authority that works for the owner and is part of their compliance team. Is this going well? Does it deliver? Does it perform? And there's a role for a commissioning authority within the contract with the design and build contractor to help them integrate those systems and deliver that job on spec. Right.
So are you saying like an MEP court? So you're going to have an internal MEP coordinator, and then you're going to have the owner side. It's sort of like, you know, like.
So if I'm Turner, I would employ a commissioning manager / commissioning authority to help me integrate and deliver a building with systems that work. And if I'm the developer, I would hire a commissioning authority to tell me that that thing I'm getting works and complies with the specs I put out.
Well, I guess you're calling the developer the owner.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about when there is an owner involved in this that is not the developer, that doesn't, there's so many layers to it.
Well, the owner and developer are sort of synonymous. Make them the same thing, right? That's the money. Let's call it the money. Right?
Yeah, money.
Yeah. And then but you've got to remember the way contracting works, particularly design and build contracting, is it is about minimum compliance, minimum viable product. That contractor is not going to give you a centimeter more than they have to, right? And 9 times out of 10, they will value engineer that thing down to the bone because they normally have to meet a performance, not a very specific specification, right? So when you're a performance spec, you are free to innovate. The idea is the contractor innovates and delivers the performance, right? So, you know, if your performance spec says I need this EUI, this water use intensity, this energy use intensity, this level of certification for LEED, right? How they deliver that is their business, not yours as an employer, unless you call it out in your spec. So again, design and build is a good news, bad news situation. I suppose the good news is the conceit that you've managed your risk and you put it in a bucket and you got a fixed price. But the bad news is how they deliver that back to you is on them. You can't interfere with them.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where you get, I work on many jobs. I've worked on both sides of this equation. And I'm working on a job at the moment where the design build contractor is being influenced and told what to do by the owner about who they can employ as a subcontractor. So if I was a design and build contractor, I'd say, sorry, dude, that's not your job. Goodbye. I'll see you at the end. But again, people don't understand the game they're in, right? They don't understand how to say no.
So what, you know, everybody's always asking about a good example.
Yeah.
What if someone's like, let's say in the commissioning world, they're looking into, you know, design build and they're doing more of it, more, where would people go to learn more?
Well, design and build, just about every other job is design and build. So you just got to go and do a job, but you really need to understand to understand the design and build game. You need to understand the contracting law around design and build and contractual arrangements around design and build, because that's what drives the incentives and disincentives, right? So the other question is, do you get a better outcome from design and build? I would argue no. I've yet to meet owner, developer, the money, who have done a design and build and been really happy with what they got, because they normally wind up disappointed in the quality of what they get back. And they come to understand late in the process that they can't influence that quality because they put out a bad output spec. So this is the whole P3, like P3 or PPP thing, right?
Yep.
It's held as like the gift of God to get us all this infrastructure. That's BS. You know, it's only as good as the people that build it and people design it.
And I guess also it's only as good who owns it and how long they own it. If it truly is a P3, and if the owner owns the land, they build a building, they get turned over. There's a lot of stuff, and I mean, there's a lot of gaps, you know, and because we're all used to CMAR, but It's been tried and true, so it's design build, I think, is getting better and better and better. You just got to get that right team and get that right team who's really open to talk with everybody and bring everybody in.
Yeah, I mean, design and build outcomes for the money is all dependent on how good they ask for it.
Yeah.
If you just sit back and say, give me a league gold building, well, good luck with that. You're going to get a bag of dog pile shit sent back to you, right? So if I was the owner, I would spend a lot of money on asking for it up front really well and documenting what I want. It's design and build good for the constructors. A lot of them don't like it because they don't like the design liability put on them. They find managing design teams difficult. It's like managing a herd of cats, right? So they don't like it. But if I was a constructor, I'd be happy with design and build. I'll say, dude, thanks very much for that spec. I'll see you in 2 years and I'm going to give you what I'm going to give you. Goodbye.
But in this environment with 45, 56 weeks, yeah. I mean, I perfect storm. I just don't see it being working in this environment. Because you don't know what the cost is going to be, like the 30% more, the steel, this, the that, and the owner's like, wait. So it's just like, but they're almost held hostage.
In a high inflation environment, it's going to be very interesting to see if design and build persists, because if you take, you got a 3-year construction program and the cost of steel goes up like 50%, then that's a problem, right?
Yeah, that's probably going to be in the contract that if it does, then there's got to be appreciation or escalation. You know what I mean? Like there's so much lawyer stuff now where it's just it's not building anymore. It's just now it's a.
So here's the other angle. Think of it from a risk point of view, right? So if I'm building a mission critical facility like a data center or a biolab, am I doing that on design and build? Hell no. Not a goddamn chance, because I need to know that is done freaking like to the nth degree well, right? If I'm doing a hotel, let's face it, hotel and resi is the bottom of the food chain.
But
no one
data
cares.
centers are being built all the time now with DPs. I'd love to see a white paper on that, especially in the last 2 years.
Now, resi and hotel, let's be honest, people, right? No one cares about it, right? It's low risk, it's low consequence. But if you buy a condo and you're not happy with it, you're just one of maybe 800 people who might be happy or unhappy. No one cares. If you're a hotel that gets sold on to an operator, the occupancy is transigent. If you're not happy with your room, you just don't come back. No one cares.
Yeah.
So D&B, probably a good solution, because if you deliver a bad job, no one cares, really, right?
Yeah, this is a tough area.
Different story, right?
This is a tough area. All good answers. It's something that I think more people need to talk about this, and I think it needs to happen at more conferences. I know they're all at the design build conference, but I think it should happen more often at more commissioning meetings, more of this, just more.
Yeah. But it's all about how well the spec is written. So this is what I say to everyone I work with. How well you ask for this and do the OPR on the specs is going to really drive how well you get something back that works.